You don't cook. She had a point. So, what's up? I propped my bunny-slippered feet on the cluttered coffee table and crossed my legs at the ankles. I'm not sure how to tell you this. Her breath hitched, and she bowed her blue head. I straightened in alarm despite the energy it took. Aunt Lil? She tucked her chin in sadness. I think I'm dead. I blinked, stared at her a moment, then blinked again. I know. She sniffled into the massive sleeve of her muumuu, and the love bead shifted soundlessly with the movement. Inanimate objects in death carried an eerie silence, like mimes, or that scream Al Pacino did in The Godfather Part 3 when his daughter died on those steps. I know. She patted my shoulder in consolation. It's a lot to absorb. Aunt Lillian died long before I was born, but I had no idea if she knew that or not. Many departed didn't. Because of this doubt, I'd never mentioned it. For years, I'd let her make me invisible coffee in the mornings or cook me invisible eggs. Then she'd go off on another adventure. Aunt Lil was still sowing her wild oats. A world traveler, that one. And she rarely stayed in one place very long, which was good. Otherwise, I'd never get real coffee in the mornings, or the 12 other times during the day I needed a Java fix. If she were around more often, I'd go through caffeine withdrawal on a regular basis and get really bad headaches. But maybe now that she knew, I could explain the whole coffee thing. I was curious enough about her death to ask her, "Do you know how you died? What happened?" According to my family, she died in a hippie commune in Madrid at the height of the flower power revolution. Before that, she really had been a world traveler, spending her summers in South America and Europe, and her winters in Africa and Australia. And she'd continued that tradition even after her death, traveling far and wide, passport no longer needed. But no one could really tell me how she died exactly, or what she did for a living. How she could afford to do all that traveling when she was alive. I knew she'd been married for a while, but my family didn't know much about her husband. My uncle thought he might have been an oil tycoon from Texas, but the family had lost contact and nobody knew for certain. I'm just not sure, she said, shaking her head. I remember we were sitting around a campfire singing songs and dropping acid. I used every ounce of strength I had to keep the horror I felt from manifesting in my expression. And Bernie asked me what was wrong, but since Bernie had just done a hit of acid himself, I didn't take him seriously. I could understand that. She looked up at me, her eyes watering with sorrow. Maybe I should have listened. I put an arm around her slight shoulders. I'm so sorry, Aunt Lil. I know, Pumpkinhead. She patted my cheek, her hand cool in the absence of flesh and blood. She smiled that lopsided smile of hers, and I suddenly wondered if she'd perhaps dropped one hit too many. I remember the day you were born. I blinked yet again in surprise. Really? You were there? I was. I'm so sorry about your mother. A harsh pang of regret shot through me. I wasn't expecting it, and it took me a moment to recover. I'm sorry, too. The memory of my mother's passing right after I'd been born was not my favorite, and I remembered it so clearly, so precisely. The moment she parted from her physical body, a pop, like a rubber band snapping into place, ricocheted through my body, and I knew our connection had been severed. I loved her, even then. You were so special, Aunt Lil said, shaking her head with the memory. But now that you know I'm a goner, I have to ask, why in tarnation are you so bright? Crap. I couldn't tell her the truth, that I was the Grim Reaper and the floodlights came with the gig. She thought I was special, not grim. It just sounded so bad when I said it out loud. I decided to deflect. Well, that's kind of a long story, Aunt Lil, but if you want, you can pass through me. You can cross to the other side and be with your family. I lowered my head, hoping she wouldn't take me up on my offer. I liked having her around, as selfish as that made me. Are you kidding? She slapped a knee. And miss all the crap you get yourself into? Never. After a disturbing cackle that brought to mind